Captain John Miller sat in his command chair on the bridge of the USS Defiant, watching the stars streak by on the main view screen. The ship hummed with the quiet efficiency he had come to appreciate during his 15 years in space. It wasn't the newest vessel in Earth's merchant fleet, but it was reliable and it had secrets that very few people knew about. "Captain, we're approaching the dead zone," said Lisa Gray from the navigation console. Her fingers moved quickly over the controls as she adjusted their course. "ETA 20 minutes, Miller nodded. The dead zone was notorious, a region of space where communications became unreliable due to natural interference from a nearby pulsar. It was also infamous for pirate attacks, particularly from the Vextar, a reptilian species known for their brutality and their hatred of humans. "Sam, how's our engine status?" Miller asked. Chief Engineer Sam Powell looked up from his station. "Running at 90% efficiency, Captain. I could push her to 95 if needed, but I'd rather keep the reserve power available." "Agreed. Keep it at 90. Miller turned to his communications specialist. "Amy, send our last status update to Earth Command before we lose clear transmission." Amy Bennett nodded, her dark hair falling across her face as she bent over her console. "Yes, Captain. Transmitting now." She paused, then added, "Message sent and acknowledged." Miller stood up and walked around the bridge. The Defiant appeared to be a standard merchant vessel, carrying medical supplies and rare minerals to the Centauri colonies. Its crew of 5 seemed small and vulnerable, exactly what Admiral William Clark had planned when he created Operation Trojan Horse. The truth was that every person aboard the Defiant was highly trained military personnel. The ship itself was a marvel of deception. Beneath its ordinary exterior lay advanced weapon systems, military-grade shields, and technology that most human warships wouldn't see for another decade. Their mission, to draw out and capture the pirates that had been terrorizing human shipping lanes for years. "Nick, run a passive scan of the surrounding area," Miller said to his security chief. Nick Martinez, a stocky man with quick eyes, immediately activated the ship's hidden sensor array. "Nothing yet, Captain. But if the intelligence is correct, the Vextar operate regularly in this sector." "They do," Miller confirmed. He had studied the pirate clan extensively during mission preparation, and our cargo manifest was leaked exactly as planned. The value of our supposed shipment should be too tempting for them to resist. The bridge fell silent as they continued their course into the dead zone. Each crew member went about their duties, with the focused precision that came from years of training. To any observer, they would have appeared to be ordinary merchant sailors, perhaps a bit more professional than most, nothing that would raise suspicion. Miller returned to his chair and pulled up the classified file on Commander Zarkesh, the leader of the Vextar pirates. The reptilian alien had a face covered in green scales with yellow markings around his eyes. His reputation was brutal. No survivors, no mercy. Human colonies lived in fear of Vextar raids, and with good reason. "What do you think, Captain?" Nick asked quietly, glancing at the image on Miller's screen. "Will he take the bait?" "Intelligence says he hasn't hit a ship in 2 weeks. His crew will be hungry for profit, and our manifest looks like an easy score." Miller closed the file. "Yes, I think he'll come." Amy suddenly straightened at her station. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual energy readings at the edge of our scanner range. Could be natural phenomenon, but it's not," Miller finished. "For her." "Distance?" "About 50,000 kilometers and closing fast. Their signature matches known Vextar propulsion systems." Miller felt a rush of adrenaline but kept his expression calm. "Right on schedule. All hands prepare for Protocol Sleeping Dragon. Nick, secure all sensitive materials. Sam, begin power conservation mode to make us look vulnerable. Lisa, adjust. Course to appear like we're trying to avoid them, but not very effectively." The crew responded immediately, their movements precise and rehearsed. Within minutes, the Defiant appeared to be a merchant vessel attempting to flee, its engines supposedly struggling, its movements clumsy. "They're gaining on us," Lisa reported. "Current speed suggests intercept in 7 minutes." Miller nodded. "Amy, prepare to receive their transmission. Remember your training. You're a frightened communications officer on a merchant ship, not military. Yes, sir, Amy replied, adjusting her posture to appear less confident. Sam's voice came over the E. Come on. Engine room ready, Captain. I've rerouted power from our weapon systems to make it look like we're pushing our engines to maximum. In reality, we're at 50% capacity. Good work, Miller said. Now we wait. The minutes ticked by as the pirate ship closed the distance. It appeared on their view screen. A massive vessel with a jagged hull design that resembled a predator's open jaws. Weapon ports lined its sides, and its black metal exterior absorbed light rather than reflected. They're scanning us, Nick reported. Basic commercial scans only. They can see our cargo and life signs, but nothing deeper. Miller smiled slightly. The Defiant's hull had been specially designed to reveal exactly what they wanted pirates to see. A valuable cargo guarded by a minimal crew with limited defensive capabilities. They're powering weapons, Nick said, his voice tense despite his training. Everyone remember your roles, Miller said calmly. We're merchant sailors about to have a very bad day. Nothing more. The ship shuddered as a tractor beam locked onto them. The control panels flickered, giving the appearance of systems failing under stress. Incoming transmission, Amy announced, her voice now pitched higher to sound frightened. On screen, Miller ordered, slouching slightly in his chair to appear defeated. The view screen changed to show the face of Commander Zarkesh, the Vextar. Leader's yellow eyes gleamed with cruel intelligence, his scaled skin catching the light of his ship's bridge. Human vessel, he said, his voice deep and rasping. This is Commander Zarkesh of the Vextar Dominion. Your ship is now my property. Your cargo is mine. Your lives are mine to take or spare as I choose. Miller rose from his chair, allowing himself to appear nervous but determined, the brave captain of a merchant vessel facing overwhelming odds. This is Captain John Miller of the USS Defiant. We are a civilian merchant vessel carrying medical supplies. Please release us. We have nothing of value to warriors such as yourselves. Zarkesh's mouth opened in what passed for a smile among his species, revealing rows of sharp teeth. Humans always beg. It is what makes you inferior. Prepare to be boarded. The transmission cut off. Miller turned to his crew, dropping the act now that they were alone. Positions, everyone. Let them board. Wait for my signal. The crew moved to their designated hiding places throughout the ship. As they left the bridge, Miller accessed a hidden panel beneath his command chair and removed a compact pulse rifle. Computer, activate Operation Trojan Horse. Authorization, Miller Delta 79. The ship's computer responded in a voice much different from its usual friendly tone. Operation Trojan Horse active. Combat system standing by. Hidden protocols engaged. Miller checked his weapon and moved to his position in a concealed compartment near the main corridor. The pirates would board expecting to find cowering humans. Instead, they would spring the trap that Admiral Clark had spent years planning. A trap designed not just to capture pirates, but to send a message to every species that thought humans were easy targets. The message was simple. They had targeted the wrong ship. The Vextar boarding ship attached to the Defiant's main airlock with a metallic clang that echoed through the ship. Captain Miller listened to the sound of cutting tools as the pirates began to force their way through the outer door. From his hidden compartment near the main corridor, he could monitor the entire ship through a small screen that showed feeds from hidden cameras. All stations report, he whispered into his communicator. Engine room secure, Sam Powell replied. The chief engineer had concealed himself behind a false panel near the main reactor controls. Cargo bay ready, Nick Martinez said next. The security. Chief had positioned himself where he could observe the valuable cargo that had drawn the pirates to their ship. Navigation ready, Lisa Gray reported from her hiding spot near the escape pods. Communications standing by, Amy Bennett confirmed. She had taken position in a maintenance shaft with access to the ship's communication systems. Miller nodded to himself. Remember, let them spread out through the ship. Do not engage until my signal. The airlock door finally gave way with a hiss of escaping air. The first Vextar pirates stepped aboard the Defiant. They were impressive creatures, standing, over 7 feet tall with muscular bodies covered in green and brown scales. Each carried energy weapons that glowed with a sickly yellow light. Their movements were fluid and predatory as they swept into the corridors of the ship. "Search everything," ordered the lead pirate, a scarred veteran with a cybernetic eye. "Find the humans. Commander Zarkesh wants them alive if possible, dead if necessary." The boarding party split into 3 groups, just as Miller had anticipated. 4 pirates headed toward the bridge, 3 toward the engine room, and 3 toward the cargo bay. The pirates moved with confidence, clearly believing they faced minimal resistance from a frightened merchant crew. Miller watched them spread through his ship. Years of planning had led to this moment. The Defiant had been designed with this exact scenario in mind. Hidden compartments lined the corridors. Weapons caches were built into what appeared to be ordinary wall panels. Most importantly, the ship itself could transform from a vulnerable merchant vessel into a combat-ready military ship with the press of a button. But timing was everything. If they revealed their trap too soon, the pirate mothership might escape. Oh no. The Vextar vessel, Commander Zarkesh watched the boarding operation with satisfaction. He had captured dozens of human ships over the years, but this one promised to be especially profitable. The cargo manifest had shown valuable medical supplies, always, in high demand on the black market, and rare minerals used in advanced technology. "Status report," he demanded. His second-in-command, a female Vextar named Sikra, studied the data from the boarding party. "They have entered the human vessel without resistance. No signs of the crew yet." Zarkesh flicked his tongue, a gesture of suspicion among his kind. "No resistance at all?" "None, Commander. Perhaps they are hiding." "Humans always hide," Zarkesh said with contempt. "It is their nature to cower when faced with superior strength." Back on the Defiant, the pirates had reached the bridge. They found it empty, control panels still active, chairs warm from recent use. The humans abandoned their posts, the leader reported back to the mothership. They must be hiding somewhere. The group that had headed to the engine room found it similarly deserted. One pirate examined the engine controls with interest. "Their systems are still running at high capacity," he noted. "Strange they would not shut down engines when boarded." The third group reached the cargo bay and began to examine the crates stored there. One pirate pried open a container and hissed with pleasure at what he found. The manifest was accurate. Medical supplies, high grade. The commander will be pleased. Miller watched all of this unfold on his monitor. When the last pirate had entered the ship and the boarding party had spread to their furthest points, he knew it was time. "Now," he whispered into his communicator. Sam Powell, hidden in the engine room, pressed a sequence of commands into a hidden panel. Throughout the ship, specialized bulkheads silently slid into place, separating the pirate groups from each other. At the same time, gravity controls activated in specific sections of the ship. In some areas, pirates found themselves suddenly pressed to the floor by twice Earth's normal gravity. In others, they floated helplessly as gravity disappeared entirely. The confused shouts of the pirates echoed through the ship. In the cargo bay, Nick Martinez emerged from his hiding place as 3 disoriented pirates struggled against suddenly increased gravity. His pulse rifle fired 3 quick, precise shots. The weapons had been specifically designed to penetrate Vextar scales without killing. All 3 pirates collapsed, paralyzed but conscious. Near the engine room, Sam dealt with his group in similar fashion. The increased gravity had already forced them to their knees, making them easy targets. On the bridge, Lisa moved from her position as the pirates floated helplessly in zero gravity. Her shots were equally effective. Miller himself remained hidden, watching as his crew efficiently neutralized the boarding party. When all the pirates were secured, he gave his next command, Phase 2. Amy activated the ship's hidden military systems. Throughout the Defiant, panels slid away to reveal weapon ports. Engine housings reconfigured to show their true military-grade thrusters. The ship's reactor core doubled its output as it switched from commercial to military mode. On the bridge of the Vextar mothership, alarms suddenly blared. The tactical officer stared at his readings in disbelief. "Commander," The human vessel, it's changing. Zarkesh leapt from his command chair and rushed to the view screen. The small merchant ship that had seemed so vulnerable was transforming before his eyes. Weapon ports appeared along its hull. Its energy signature surged to levels, matching a military cruiser. "Impossible," he hissed. "Raise shields, prepare to fire." But before the Vextar ship could react, the Defiant fired a series of precision shots. The pirate ship's main weapons were hit first, followed by its engines. The shots didn't destroy these systems. They disabled them with surgical precision. Miller emerged from his hiding place and made his way to the bridge. His crew had already gathered there, with Lisa keeping watch over the floating, paralyzed pirates. "Status report," he ordered as he took his seat in the command chair. "All intruders have been neutralized," Nick reported. 10 pirates captured, no casualties on either side. "Their ship?" Miller asked. "Weapons and engines disabled," Amy replied. "They're dead in space." Miller nodded with satisfaction. "Open a channel to the pirate vessel." The main screen flickered to life, showing a furious Commander Zarkesh. The Vextar leader's scales had darkened with rage, his eyes narrowed to yellow slits. "What trickery is this?" he demanded. "You are not merchants." Miller straightened in his chair, now every inch the military captain he truly was. "Commander Zarkesh, this is Captain John Miller of the Earth Defense Force. Your ship has been disabled. Your boarding party has been captured. Surrender your vessel immediately." Zarkesh hissed, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Humans are not capable of such deception. Such tactics are beneath a warrior race." "And yet here we are," Miller replied calmly. "Your reputation preceded you, Commander. We knew the only way to stop your attacks on our colonies was to give you a target too tempting to resist." For the first time in his long career of piracy, Zarkesh found himself on the defensive. His ship was crippled, his boarding party captured, and the supposedly weak humans had revealed themselves to be dangerous opponents. "Contact Admiral Clark," Miller ordered Amy. "Tell him Operation Trojan Horse is a success." As Amy sent the message, Miller studied the face of the pirate commander on the screen. The Vextar had terrorized human colonies for years, believing humans to be easy prey. That illusion had just been shattered. "What happens now, human?" Zarkesh asked, his voice low and dangerous. Miller's expression remained neutral. "Now, Commander, you learn that appearances can be deceiving, and that you targeted the wrong ship." Admiral William Clark arrived 6 hours later with 3 Earth Defense Force ships. The small fleet surrounded the disabled Vextar vessel, while teams of security personnel boarded to secure the pirate crew. On the Defiant, Captain Miller and his team had already moved their prisoners to the ship's brig, a hidden compartment that transformed from storage space to detention cells. The Admiral stepped onto the Defiant's bridge looking pleased. He was a tall man with gray hair and the weathered face of someone who had spent decades in space. His uniform was crisp and decorated with medals that spoke of a long career protecting Earth's interests. "Excellent work, Captain," Clark said, shaking Miller's hand firmly. "Operation Trojan Horse exceeded expectations." Miller nodded. "Thank you, sir. The crew performed perfectly." "I want to see him," the Admiral said. Miller knew exactly who he meant. "This way, sir." He's not in a talkative mood. They walked through the corridors of the Defiant to the brig where Commander Zarkesh was being held. The Vextar leader sat on a bench in his cell, his yellow eyes following the humans as they approached. Unlike his crew who raged and threatened, Zarkesh had been quiet since his capture, watchful and calculating. "So this is the notorious pirate who has terrorized our colonies," Admiral Clark said, studying the alien. "Not so frightening now." Zarkesh slowly stood, his tall frame still impressive despite his containment. "You used deception," he said to Miller. "You pretended to be weak." "We adapted," Miller replied. "Something your intelligence reports clearly failed to anticipate." The pirate commander's scales rippled slightly, a sign of agitation among his species. "What will happen to my crew?" Admiral Clark stepped forward. "They will be tried for their crimes against Earth colonies, as will you." Zarkesh hissed softly. In Vextar culture, captured enemies are not tried, they are executed. We're not. Vextar, Clark said. Humans have a different approach to justice. The Admiral turned to Miller. The transport ships will take the prisoners back to Earth. Your crew deserves some rest, but I'm afraid the mission isn't over yet. Miller raised an eyebrow. Sir? Intelligence indicates there are 2 more Vextar ships operating in nearby sectors. With Zarkesh captured, they'll be disorganized. Perfect time to strike. The Defiant will continue its role as bait. Miller nodded. We'll be ready, sir. After the Admiral left, Miller returned to the bridge where his crew waited for news. They looked tired but satisfied with their success. What's next, Captain? Nick asked. We continue the mission, Miller said. 2 more Vextar ships to catch. Amy frowned. Won't they be suspicious now that we've captured Zarkesh? That's the clever part, Miller explained. As far as the rest of the pirate fleet knows, Zarkesh is simply not responding to communications. We've kept the capture quiet. Admiral Clark wants us to use that confusion to our advantage. Sam leaned against his console. So we're going fishing again? Exactly. Miller nodded. But this time we'll need to change our appearance. He turned to Lisa. Set course for the Proxima shipping lanes. That's where intelligence suggests the next Vextar ship is hunting. The crew returned to their stations with renewed purpose. The Defiant's engines hummed as they prepared to leave. The captured pirates now transferred to the Admiral's ships. On the main view screen, Miller watched as the Vextar vessel was towed away by Earth forces. It would be studied extensively, its technology potentially giving humans an edge in future conflicts. Miller turned to Amy. Before we depart, send a message to all nearby Earth colonies. Code phrase, Sleeping Dragon successful. They'll understand that the shipping lanes are a bit safer now. As the Defiant prepared to resume its disguise as a vulnerable merchant vessel, Miller visited the ship's brig one more time. Zarkesh still sat quietly in his cell. Your ship is leaving without you, Miller told him. Your crew is being taken to Earth. The pirate commander looked up. You should have killed me when you had the chance. Miller studied the alien, curious. Why do you say that? Because now I have seen how humans truly fight. I have learned your methods. This knowledge will not die with me. Miller smiled slightly. That's the point, Commander. We want that knowledge to spread. We want every pirate, every potential enemy to know that humans are not the easy targets they believed us to be. Zarkesh's eyes narrowed. You are more cunning than your kind appears. That's the second lesson, Miller said. Appearances can be deceiving. He left the brig and returned to the bridge as final preparations for departure were completed. The Defiant would soon resume its role as a seemingly ordinary merchant vessel, once again hiding its true nature. Course laid in for Proxima shipping. Lanes, Lisa reported. ETA 22 hours at standard merchant vessel speed. Miller took his seat in the command chair. Let's resume our merchant vessel profile. Sam, adjust engine output to commercial levels. Amy, prepare a new cargo manifest. For broadcast, make it something tempting. How about luxury goods this time? Amy suggested. Something small but valuable. Perfect, Miller agreed. Nick, make sure our weapons are hidden and powered down. We're just a simple merchant crew again. The Defiant slowly moved away from the Earth Defense Force ships, its external appearance once again that of an ordinary cargo vessel. Only those aboard knew its true capabilities. As they set course for the Proxima shipping lanes, Miller reviewed the profiles of the remaining Vextar captains. One was a former lieutenant of Zarkesh named Rektor, known for his reckless attacks. The other was an older pirate called Mazrik, who specialized in capturing human crews for the slave markets. Both would soon learn the same lesson as Zarkesh. Appearances could be deceiving, and humans were far more dangerous than they seemed. In his quarters that night, Miller recorded his official mission log. Day 1 of Operation Trojan Horse complete. Primary target Zarkesh captured with minimal resistance. Ship and crew performed beyond expectations. Phase 2 commencing with pursuit of secondary targets in Proxima Sector. If successful, this Operation will reduce pirate activity in human space by an estimated 60%. He paused, then added, "The Vextar and other hostile species have preyed on what they perceived as human weakness for too long. Today, that perception began to change." The Defiant continued through space, looking vulnerable and tempting to any watching eyes. Inside, its crew prepared for their next encounter, confident in their ship and their mission. The trap was set once more, waiting for the next pirate who would learn the hard way about targeting the wrong ship. The Defiant drifted through the Proxima shipping lanes, its engines running at the slow pace typical of merchant vessels. 4 days had passed since they had captured Commander Zarkesh, and the crew maintained their cover as ordinary cargo transporters. The ship broadcast its new identity, the Earth merchant vessel Starlight, carrying luxury goods from Earth to the wealthy outer colonies. Captain Miller sat in his quarters reviewing the latest intelligence reports from Earth Command. The 2 remaining Vextar ships had been spotted in this sector, likely searching for their missing leader. One ship, commanded by Rector, had already attacked and destroyed a small transport vessel 2 days earlier. A knock on his door interrupted his reading. "Enter," he called. Lisa Gray stepped into the room looking concerned. "Captain, we just received a distress call from the mining colony on Proxima 4. They're under attack." Miller stood quickly. "Vextar?" "The description matches Rector's ship. They're asking for immediate assistance." "How far?" 3 hours at full speed," Lisa replied. Miller considered his options. Their mission was to lure the pirates into attacking them, not to engage in a rescue operation. But he couldn't ignore a colony under attack. "Tell everyone to meet me on the bridge in 5 minutes," he ordered. When the crew gathered, Miller explained the situation. "Our mission parameters allow for flexibility if human lives are at risk. We're going to help Proxima 4. Nick Martinez checked his weapons. If we reveal ourselves to help the colony, we lose our cover as a merchant vessel." "True," Miller agreed. "But we might gain something more valuable, a chance to catch Rector in the act. He won't be expecting a disguised warship to show up during his raid." "What's the plan, Captain?" Sam asked from his engineering station. "We approach as the merchant vessel Starlight offering assistance. Once we're close enough, we reveal our true capabilities and engage." The colony's distress call mentioned they retreated to the emergency bunkers. There should be minimal civilian risk if we engage near the colony. The crew nodded in agreement. Miller turned to Lisa. "Set course for Proxima 4, maximum speed. But once we're 30 minutes out, reduce to merchant vessel speed and begin broadcasting our cover identity." "Yes, Captain," Lisa replied, already plotting the course. The Defiant's engines roared to life, pushing the ship faster than any real merchant vessel could travel. For nearly 2.5 hours they maintained this speed, covering the distance to Proxima 4 rapidly. As ordered, Lisa reduced their speed when they were close to their destination. "Amy, begin broadcasting our merchant identity and an offer of assistance to the colony," Miller instructed. Amy nodded and began transmitting. "This is Earth merchant vessel Starlight responding to distress call from Proxima the 4. We are approaching to offer assistance. Please respond." There was no answer from the colony, but their sensors detected weapons fire on the planet's surface. The pirate ship orbited above the main settlement, its shape similar to Zarkesh's vessel but smaller and more heavily armed. "They've spotted us," Nick reported from the tactical station. "The pirate ship is breaking orbit and moving to intercept." Miller smiled grimly. "Perfect. Everyone remember your roles. We're a concerned merchant crew until I give the signal." The pirate ship grew larger on their view screen, its weapons visibly charging. A transmission came through and the face of another Vextar appeared on screen. Unlike Zarkesh, this one had red markings on his scales and a cybernetic implant where his left eye should have been. "Human vessel," the pirate snarled. "I am Captain Rector of the Vextar Dominion. Surrender your ship or be destroyed." Miller adopted the nervous demeanor of a merchant captain. "This is Captain John Miller of the Starlight. We're just here to help the colony. We're unarmed." Rector's mouth twisted in what might have been a smile. "All the better. Prepare to be boarded. My crew is hungry for human flesh." The transmission cut off. Nick looked at Miller with raised eyebrows. Hungry for human flesh? That's new. Zarkesh didn't mention that his lieutenant was quite so colorful, Miller replied dryly. Status of the pirate vessel? They're moving into position to launch a boarding party, Lisa reported. Their weapons are powered but not targeting us yet. They want our cargo intact, Sam suggested, and possibly us as well, though I'm not keen on finding out why. Miller nodded. Defensive positions. Same plan as before, but be ready for anything. These pirates might be more aggressive than the last group. The crew moved to their hiding places throughout the ship as the Vextar vessel locked a tractor beam onto the Defiant. Miller, concealed in his command nook, watched as the boarding shuttle approached and attached to their airlock. This time the pirates were faster at cutting through. 6 Vextar warriors burst onto the ship, weapons ready. They wore light armor and moved with less discipline than Zarkesh's crew, shouting to each other as they spread through the corridors. Find the humans, one ordered. Vector wants them, alive for questioning about Zarkesh. Miller tensed. So they were looking for information about their missing commander. This could work to their advantage. The pirates split into 2 groups this time, not 3. 4 headed toward the bridge, while 2 began searching the cargo bay. They moved quickly, checking compartments and calling out to each other. When all the pirates were aboard, Miller gave the signal. Once again, the ship's hidden systems activated. Bulkheads slammed down, and gravity controls engaged. But the pirates reacted differently this time. Instead of confusion, they responded with coordinated violence, firing their weapons at the walls and equipment. They were prepared for a trap, Nick said over the comm. Permission to engage directly, Captain? Granted, Miller replied, but take them alive if possible. The Defiant's crew emerged from hiding, their specialized weapons firing at the trapped pirates. In the cargo bay, Nick easily subdued the 2 pirates caught in the increased gravity field. Near the bridge, however, the other 4 had managed to brace themselves against the gravity change and were returning fire. Lisa and Amy, positioned near the bridge, found themselves in a firefight. One of Amy's shots hit a pirate in the chest, and he went down. Another pirate fired back, nearly hitting Lisa. Miller moved quickly through the ship's maintenance tunnels, planning to flank the remaining pirates. He emerged behind them just as they were forcing their way through a partially closed bulkhead. Drop your weapons, he ordered. The pirates spun around, but Miller was faster. His first shot hit one pirate in the shoulder, causing him to drop his weapon. The second pirate fired, missing Miller by inches. Miller's return shot caught the pirate in the leg. The third raised his hands in surrender. Bridge, this is the captain. We have all intruders contained, Miller reported. Sam, initiate. Phase 2. On the bridge, Sam activated the ship's military systems. The Defiant transformed, weapons ports opening and shields powering up to full strength. On the pirate ship, the sudden change in the seemingly defenseless merchant vessel caused chaos. They tried to fire their weapons, but the Defiant's first shots disabled their weapon systems with surgical precision. Open a channel, Miller ordered as he reached the bridge. Vector's face appeared on screen, his expression a mixture of rage and disbelief. What trickery is this? He demanded. The same trickery that captured Zarkesh, Miller replied calmly. Captain Rector, this is the Earth Defense Force vessel Defiant. Your ship has been disabled. Surrender now. The pirate captain's cybernetic eye glowed red with fury. Never. I will destroy this ship and everyone on it. With what weapons? Miller asked. Check your systems, Captain. You're defenseless. As Rector raged, Miller turned to Amy. Contact Proxima the 4. Tell them the pirates have been neutralized, and ask about casualties. The response from the colony came quickly. The pirates had caused damage to the settlement, but no lives had been lost thanks to the early warning system and bunkers. Miller looked back at the still fuming pirate captain on the view screen. One down, one to go, he thought. The mission was proceeding even better than planned. 1 week after capturing Rector, the Defiant floated near an asteroid field at the edge of human space. This region was known as the Border Zone, the unofficial boundary between Earth territories and unclaimed space. It was also the perfect hiding place for the last remaining Vextar ship. Captain Miller stood on the bridge watching the massive asteroids drift slowly past the view screen. His crew looked tired but determined. They had been waiting for 3 days, broadcasting their latest cover identity, the mining survey ship Horizon, supposedly collecting mineral samples from the asteroids. "Any sign of our target?" Miller asked. Nick shook his head. "Nothing yet, Captain. But our intelligence says Mazrik has to pass through this sector on his way back to Vextar space." Mazrik was the oldest and wisest of the Vextar captains. Unlike Zarkesh and Rektor, he was known for his caution. He specialized in capturing humans for the slave markets beyond Earth space, but he rarely engaged in unnecessary combat. "He knows his allies are missing," Amy said from her station. "He might avoid this route entirely." Miller considered this. "Maybe we need to make ourselves more tempting." He turned to Sam. "Can you make us appear damaged? Like we've had an accident?" "While mining?" The engineer grinned. "I can vent some plasma from the secondary cooling systems. From a distance, it would look like we have a serious engine problem." "Do it," Miller ordered. "And Amy, start broadcasting a distress call. Nothing too dramatic. Just a mining vessel with engine trouble requesting assistance." The crew set to work creating their new deception. Sam adjusted the ship's external appearance to simulate damage, while Amy crafted a convincing distress call. The Defiant now appeared to be a crippled mining vessel, easy prey for any passing pirate. Hours passed with no sign of the final Vextar ship. The crew took turns resting while maintaining their watch. Miller was about to suggest changing position when Lisa called out from her station. "Captain, I'm detecting a ship approaching from behind the largest asteroid. It's running with minimal power, trying to hide its approach." Miller straightened in his chair. "On screen, magnify." The view screen showed a dark shape moving slowly between the asteroids. It was smaller than the previous Vextar vessels but more streamlined, built for speed rather than firepower. "That's him," Miller said quietly. "Mazrik's ship. The Silent Hunter. Everyone to positions. This one will be more cautious. He won't rush in like the others." The crew moved quickly to their hiding places. Miller remained on the bridge longer than usual, wanting to be visible if the pirate ship scanned them. He wanted Mazrik to see a frustrated human captain dealing with engine problems. The Vextar ship continued its careful approach, stopping just outside weapons range. For nearly an hour, it simply watched the apparently damaged mining vessel. "He's scanning us," Nick reported over the comm. "Multiple frequencies, very thorough." Miller nodded to himself. "He's looking for a trap. Keep our systems in merchant configuration." Finally, after what seemed like endless waiting, Amy's console beeped. "Incoming transmission, Captain." "On screen," Miller replied. The face that appeared was older than the previous Vextar commanders, with faded gray scales and eyes that showed a lifetime of cunning. Mazrik studied Miller for a long moment before speaking. "Human vessel," he said, his voice surprisingly soft. "You appear to be in difficulty." Miller put on his best worried expression. "This is Captain John Miller of the survey ship Horizon. We've had a coolant leak that damaged our main drive. Can you assist us?" The old pirate's eyes narrowed slightly. "Captain John Miller," he repeated. "A common name among humans, I'm told." Miller felt a chill. Had Mazrik heard about the captures of the other ships? He maintained his act. "We have replacement parts but need additional hands for the repairs. We can pay for assistance." Mazrik seemed to consider this. What strange fortune, to find a human ship so far from protected lanes, with a captain named Miller. The same name reported by my missing comrades before they disappeared. Miller realized their deception had failed. Mazrik was too cautious, too experienced to fall for their trap. He decided to change tactics. "You're right to be suspicious," Miller admitted. "We've been hunting your kind, just as you've hunted ours. Zarkesh and Rektor are already in Earth custody." The old pirate showed no surprise. "So the rumors are true. The humans have finally developed a spine." He leaned forward. But you've made a mistake revealing your true nature to me. Unlike my brash colleagues, I will not be charging into your trap." Miller smiled. "I'm counting on that. In fact, I'm offering you a choice." Masaryk tilted his head. "A choice?" "Option 1. You attempt to flee. We pursue and capture your ship just like the others. Option 2. You surrender voluntarily, and I personally guarantee fair treatment for you and your crew." The Vextar captain laughed, a raspy sound. "And why would I trust a human's guarantee?" "Because unlike Zarkesh, I've never broken my word," Miller replied. "And because you're smart enough to know that times are changing. The days when Vextar could raid human ships with impunity are over." For a long moment, Masaryk was silent, his ancient eyes calculating. Finally, he spoke. "There is wisdom in knowing when a strategy has failed. What would this surrender involve?" Miller outlined the terms, and to his surprise, Masaryk agreed. Unlike the violent captures of the previous ships, the last Vextar vessel surrendered peacefully. The pirates were taken into custody without a single shot fired. As Earth Defense Force ships arrived to transport the prisoners, Admiral Clark congratulated Miller and his crew. 3 pirate ships captured in less than 2 weeks, the Admiral said, clearly impressed. Operation Trojan Horse has exceeded all expectations. Miller looked at his tired but proud crew. The real success is what happens next. Word will spread about what happened to the Vextar. Other potential enemies will think twice before targeting human ships. In the conference room, Miller sat across from Masaryk one last time before the pirate was transferred to the prison transport. "You knew it was a trap all along," Miller said. "Why did you approach us anyway?" The old pirate's mouth curved in what might have been a smile. "Curiosity. I wanted to see the humans who outwitted Zarkesh. He was considered our finest tactician. And now? Now I will tell stories in prison about the day the humans changed the game. About when alien pirates targeted the wrong ship." Masaryk leaned forward. "This is not the end, you know. Others will come, seeking to test your strength." "We'll be ready," Miller replied. Later, as the Defiant began its journey back to Earth, the crew gathered on the bridge. Their ship had resumed its true form as an Earth Defense Force vessel, no longer needing its merchant disguise. "What happens to us now, Captain?" Lisa asked. Miller smiled. "The Admiral has approved my request. The Defiant and its crew will continue the mission. There are other threats in space besides the Vextar, other enemies who think humans are easy targets. So we keep pretending to be helpless and waiting for someone to attack us?" Sam asked. "Exactly," Miller nodded. "Until the word spreads throughout the galaxy. Be careful which human ship you target. It might not be what it seems." As the Defiant cruised through space toward home, Miller looked at his crew with pride. They had proven that humans could be clever, adaptable, and formidable. The pirates had learned a costly lesson about appearances and assumptions, and somewhere out in the vast darkness of space, other potential enemies would soon learn the same lesson. Never judge a ship by its appearance, and think twice before targeting humans. The Defiant traveled onward, carrying its message of human ingenuity and strength to the stars.